Welcome back to another Q&A where we take all of our top AV questions and answer them. If you have any questions, put them in the description below. We'll answer them on the next one. Let's start this video. Question number one of our most asked questions is, how much does it cost to fully automate at home? There is going to be a lot of things that determine the actual budget range. Things to consider is displays. Televisions can range anywhere between $300 to $10,000. Speakers, the amount of speakers that you put in this home are going to fluctuate on the pricing. Speakers can range anywhere between $100 a speaker to $15,000 on architectural speakers. So speakers is something that can drive your budgeting high or low. Things that are going to take a lot of your budget, things like window treatment. Motorized shades, smart shades, can range anywhere between $700 to $2,000 a window. When it comes to an automation system, the actual processor, it's not that expensive. The brains of the operation of a control force system, for example, can range anywhere between $500 to $2,000, but the actual components that you have to put in any home, it's what's going to drive your pricing. Amplification. Sonos amplifier is going to cost you $699 a zone, but you have other options like Juke Audio that go anywhere between $200 to $300 a zone. When it comes to the audio video world, our industry is so diverse with so many different options that it's extremely hard to answer the question of what does it actually cost to fully automate at home. So let's talk about projectors. Because one of the number one questions that we usually get is what projector is going to give me the best bang for my buck. In this scenario, we're going to talk about the Epson LS12000 laser projector. This projector is $5,000, so it's not an entry-level projector, nor a high-end cinema projector. It's a very, very good sweet spot when it comes to pricing and technology. Let's talk about the lumens. This projector has a 2700 lumen technology to give you a bright image in a scenario where your room may be lit and you need a little extra light from the projector. When it comes to the resolution, this projector is actually going to give you a full 3840 by 2160 pixel on screen, delivering a sharp, detailed 4K image. When it comes to the resolution and sharpness of this projector, it stands like no other, so it's going to deliver an amazing quality. HDR support. The LS12000 actually supports HDR10, HDR10 Plus, and HLG enhancing dynamic range color depth technology for a better viewing experience. When it comes to gaming performance, the HDMI 2.1 technology on the LS12000 is going to actually support 120 Hertz for low input lag. The LS12000 is well suited for high frame rate gaming, providing a smooth and responsive gameplay. When it comes to installation, I would recommend hiring a professional, but if you're gonna take on the task, some of the cool things about this projector is that it actually has, or it is equipped with a fully motorized 15-element all-glance lens. The projector is going to offer a big range when it comes to your zoom in, so it's gonna give you more options of where you're going to mount it in the room for a bigger aspect ratio for more options. Now keep in mind, this is a $5,000 projector. If your budget doesn't allow that, there is great options in the $1,500 range, $2,000 range. Epson has some great options, but when it comes to a sweet spot, if you can afford $5 grand, this is the projector to go with. Question number 3, how long does it take to automate at home? And I'm going to do the best to summarize a 1.5 years of work into a 2-minute answer. When it comes to construction, or when it comes to our side of the industry, we're gonna come in early on the construction stages. So cabling and design happens early. From there, there's a big gap between sheetrock and trim out. So we're gonna come in, run all of our cabling, set up all of our boxes and everything to prepare you for installation, and then we take a break and let construction do what they do. For a 7,000 square foot home, it can take anywhere between 6 months to 2 years from sheetrock to trim out. So that's where a big gap of the time is going to happen. From there, once we actually get into the trim out stages, which means installing speakers, terminating wires, installing cameras, from there to the actual finish line of the home can range anywhere between a week to 6 months. Why? A lot of the things that take time to install is shades. Shades aren't going to come in until the home is completed. When it comes to the big rack and televisions and all of this big heavy equipment, it's not going to come in until the home is completed. So when it comes to the time range of automating a home, it's really going to depend on the size of the home. A regular 2,000 square foot home, if it's post-construction, we can come into that house and within a week have it fully automated. If we take on a project from the early stages, from the design to completion, we've had some projects that have taken over 2 years to complete. So I hope that answers your question. Question number 4 is, how do I get 4 inputs to show up on one display? And I'm gonna answer that the best way I can because there's 2 ways to approach that. Number 1, now technology has evolved so much that certain televisions have the option to actually tile up to 4 inputs and display them on the same screen. That's one way to approach it. Newer televisions have that technology. We've been asked on how to do it with 5 or 6 televisions, and to be honest with you, I haven't found the models that do that yet, but when it comes to 4 inputs, there is a way of doing it with newer televisions. Now, let's say you have an older television or a projector or an LED display. When it comes to media over IP, it's the best way of doing it. This actually works with inputs and outputs. You are going to need a managed network switch, which is going to count as your matrix. You're going to have receivers, which are going to be your inputs, and then you're going to have a transmitter for your display. Just That Power, Binary, Atlona, these are some of the brands that actually do video over IP that have tiling options. When it comes to pricing, doing it the television route, some of those TVs are going to range, depending on the size, anywhere between $4,000 to $10,000. Some of the bigger televisions, $25,000. The 115-inch Samsung that is being released this year, it's actually $25,000, and it has that capability. When it comes to MOIP and video distribution, it's a little bit more complex because each of the components has different models, so depending on the resolution that you're trying to process will determine what transmitters and receivers you account for. But to give you some educated numbers, for the most part, most transmitters and receivers are going to range anywhere between $700 to $1,200 per component. And when it comes to your actual managed network switch, depending on the inputs and outputs, that can range anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000. And that's it for today's Q&A. Thank you for watching. Write your questions below. If you want to work with us, click the link in the description. Call our 1-800 number. But outside of that, have yourself an awesome day. And like always, don't forget to look, listen, and live with Empire AV.